Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. I'm working on some fighting words. But before we go any further, I need for you to like this video and also subscribe to the channel. So we're going to just jump right into it. So word on the street is that we're going to get Adrien Broner versus Conor Benn. So Conor Benn recently signed a multi-fight promotional deal, and I think he has like a side promotion, in which case will allow him to, as Canelo has been doing, cross the street whenever he likes, where he can go and fight with people from other promotions and it wouldn't be a problem. It wouldn't be a out of house type of thing. So, which is great for us as the consumers, because then we get to see the fights that we want to see and we don't get held up with the politics of the sport. So, like I said, word on the street is we get Adrien Broner and we get Conor Benn. If you ask me, that's dynamite. That's a perfect fight. That's what we need in boxing. Two guys who are going to bring it. Two guys who are going to bring it on the mic. I cannot wait for that press conference. That press conference is going to be, it's going to be lit. So I'm excited for that. And then you get the fight. I feel like, honestly, with the press conference between those two, the fight just might be like a cherry on top or something like that. Because neither one of them are silent. Both of them are very opinionated. And they are not shy, and they certainly don't hold back. We already know what Adrien Broner brings to the table when it comes to a press conference. Don't need to say any more right there. Conor Benn is all business, and he's all passion. Everything with him is passion, passion, passion. So, he can get a little animated, but he can turn it up on the mic as well. So again, that would be fireworks. But let me just see how let me unfold how I foresee this fight to play out. If and when, hopefully we do get it. I think, in a sense, Conor Benn is tailor-made for Adrien Broner. And so Adrien Broner does fight throughout a Philly shell. However, with that shell, he doesn't use it in the way that most people who have used it in the past use it. For example, Floyd Mayweather or James Toney. They use it defensively. Adrien Broner uses it offensively, in which case he just uses it to, number one, lure people in. Number two, he is being safe, but also he can just hit people at will and kind of stay in the shell. As opposed to a Floyd Mayweather who would more or less get himself caught in a situation and he's pressed against the ropes and he'll just use it just enough for him to get some space or where he can get out. But Adrien will literally stay in the Philly shell like the whole night from round 1 to 12. Now, the only problem with that is, with the Philly shell, is it doesn't necessarily allow you to let your hands go. Because you always, in that shell, you have to be positioned. So it doesn't always allow for you to be loose with your hands and literally let your guns fly. But Adrien's very comfortable in the shell, but on top of that, Adrien Broner is an extremely accurate puncher. He's not the type of guy who's going to waste punches. He has gotten a lot of flack, including myself, giving it to him, for not having the highest punch output, especially if you're somebody who's fighting at 147 and attempted to fight at 140 in his last bout with Santiago. However, he didn't make the weight, but still, he attempted to hit 140. And yet his punch output was still, to my opinion, also to many others, it wasn't up to par. He should have been punching a lot more. But on the flip side, I would have to say Conor Benn, this is going to be definitely a great test for him. His last contest was against Adrien Granados, in which case Granados did fight Adrien Broner. That was it was an interesting fight. Once again, Adrien would let his hands go, but I felt like Adrien did better with Granados than Conor Benn did, to be honest with you. Conor seemed very, very frustrated at the end of the fight with Granados. He's literally pounding his chest and he's like, come on, because maybe he was expecting, a rough and tough, come forward, quote unquote, Mexican style. And what he got was a slick boxer from Chicago who knew what he was doing in the ring. And I think he trained for one thing, but wasn't prepared to adjust. One thing I will say about Adrien Broner is he can box and he can fight. And it's pretty much up to you which one you get that night. If you give him space, he's going to box. If you don't allow him space, he's going to fight. But either way, he's going to come back at you. He's not some guy you just kind of knock around. Even in the recent years, I know a lot of people are going to say, you know, well, his punch output isn't what it... And you're right. His punch output is not where it needs to be. But because Adrien Broner is so accurate, it kind of makes up for it. Because when he does throw a punch, it's worth it. You know, he's hitting you with a clean, crisp shot. So it's worth it. He's not wasting any energy or anything like that. I mean, towards the end of the fight, I mean, his output goes lower and lower and lower, which only he can do something about that. And quite frankly, I personally just believe that's a mental thing. I don't believe that's a physicality thing. I don't believe it's a lack of cardio type of thing. I just think it's a mental thing. And if you really want to trace where this began, I think it originated with the Maidana fight. You know, I just think that's where it happened. Because prior to that, he wasn't so timid in the amount of punches that he puts out. But with a fighter like Conor Benn, Conor's going to make you fight. Conor's going to make you fight. Conor's going to be in your face. And Adrien Broner doesn't have the fastest legs. He's springy, but he doesn't have Mayweather legs. He doesn't have legs like Lara. Like, he doesn't have legs like Keith Thurman. He's not going to like prance around a ring all night or anything like that. All of Adrien Broner's movements are here. So if you get somebody who's stationary, actually his movements remind you a lot of, I would say, like a Canelo. 90% of Canelo's movements are from the waist up. Very seldom is he going to be like going from side to side with his legs or anything like that. You know, his footwork is not up to par. And I would say even with Adrien Broner, it's either front or back. It's not a whole lot of side movement or anything like that, unless he's like on a retreat. But for the most part, it's not hard to find Adrien Broner. It's never going to be hard to find him. What is going to be hard is hitting him clean. That's what's going to be hard. And I think if anything that we learned from Adrien Broner, I would say if I were Conor Benn, I would look at the fight with Paulie Malignaggi when he fought Adrien Broner. He wasn't focused on his head. He was focused on his chest. He was focused on his shoulders because he knew eventually he would get sore. He would get tired. You know, or somebody like that who's so locked into his defense that even when he's being offensive, he's being defensive. You need to rough him up. You need to get him out of that. You need to hit him in the hip, make him sore. That's what you need to do. Take away his mobility, but also hit him in the arm. Hit him. Listen, if he's already doing a shoulder roll and it's right there, hit him there. Because now he won't have that arm for anything else. It's going to be sore to pull your arm up. It's going to be sore to fire that arm off. So Conor Benn is definitely the type of guy who's going to give you a rough and tough fight. He's going to make it a brawl. Conor Benn, in my eyes, is kind of like Sean Porter 3.0. Like, Conor Benn comes. He's coming with the fury. Like I said before, he fights with passion. He fights with a lot of... I don't know if it's because he's the son of a boxing legend. You know, shout out to Nigel Benn, his father. But he does fight with a lot of fury. Like he has something to prove. And one thing I know about Conor, if you give him this stage with this caliber of opponent, he will 150% go after it and try to take that moment for everything that it's worth. That's one thing I do know. He won't let it slip to his hands. And I think Adrien Broner is the type of guy who fights up to his competition. Sort of like, probably say like a Floyd Mayweather. Floyd will only give you a tough fight if you make it a tough fight. If you make Floyd fight you, he will fight you. But if you don't make him fight, he's not going to fight. He's going to do what he needs to do to win the fight and nothing more. If it only takes 9 punches to win the round, he's going to give you 9. He's not going to give you 10. And I think Adrien Broner's the same way. He will fight up to the level of the competition. That's about it. That's about it. And then you have somebody who's young, who's strong, who's hungry, who wants to prove himself, especially in this new market, because now we're talking about America. I think this has everything, every ingredient needed to be an amazing fight, to be a pleasing fight for us, the consumers, and to test both of these guys. We want to see where Adrien Broner is. I do know that he stayed in shape since his last fight with Santiago. I do know that. You know, I keep up with him on Instagram, and he does have a tendency to balloon out a little bit, and he stayed, for the most part, pretty lean. So, you know, maybe he knew something was brewing or something like that. I mean, ever since he came back, a lot of people have called him out. So I think he just felt maybe I should stay in shape, because I know something will be coming in the meantime. But like I said, this has the makings of a great fight. A great, great fight. I do hope we get this fight. I hope it's not just hearsay. And I look forward to it. I truly believe this will let us know how great Conor Benn can be. Because Adrien Broner's no walk in the park. Adrien Broner's not the type of guy you're going to hit with one shot. He's going to go out and go night-night. He's not that guy. He's going to be there in the final rounds. He's going to be there. And he's also the type of guy who's going to have spurts in the fight. You know, where he might have, like, round 6 might be like a highlight reel for him. He's that guy as well. You never count him out, because he still has something in the tank. For example, when he knocked down Shawn Porter in their fight, he was losing the fight, and it was later in the rounds, and he gets a knockdown. You know, it happens like that with Adrien Broner, so you never know. So he's not the type of guy where you can take it easy. He's also not the type of guy, and well, Shawn Porter is a perfect example for this. He's not the type of guy you can take it easy, but he's also not the type of guy where you can lack for a moment, because Adrien Broner has amazing reflexes. Amazing reflexes. And if he catches you, like, just relax for just a moment, he'll pounce on it. And Conor can't afford to do that. Conor is a little wide with his punches. Not a little. Conor's kind of wide with his punches. And he has a tendency to just get wild at times. And he can't do that with somebody who punches as crisply as Adrien Broner. So this has all the makings for an amazing fight. It has all the makings for a compelling fight. And it will either announce Conor Benn to the world stage and say, this dude is here to stay, and this dude is here to make a mark. Or it's going to say to everybody else, Adrien Broner is back. The problem is back. But I want to know what you think down below. And as always, I want you to like this video and please subscribe to the channel.